Welcome. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the boss Akhenaten, or however you say his name. We're going to be taking a look at him on completing him, as well as trying to do a daily completion with him and some of the things that you'll be facing if you're doing the daily missions against him. So we'll take a look at, for me, what the dailies are. Now the first one you'll notice is a clear without healers. This is one that is common to him as a daily mission and does make him quite annoying, as the second phase of his 3 phases require you to heal to boost up one of the canisters so that it gets up to max, but you have to heal your team to boost that canister. Without bringing any healers, this does present somewhat of a challenge, as you have to use supports or some other method to heal with to be able to boost this. Clearing within 90 turns can present a problem too, because sometimes the boss can take a while, or you can take many turns in between. Now, clear using at least 3 DPSs. This is dangerous, as you will be limited on what you can do. Now, this gives you a lot of damage to the boss, but it also means that clearing the first stage goes very fast, but for your damage side, but the boss doing the damage to you can be dangerous, because he can potentially kill you, or you'll do too much damage and then the boss has to do the damage to you, and it can take a while for you to build back up. So I don't know if we're going to try to do these 3 for me today, because we mostly just want to go over how to complete this boss normally. But we'll see if we can do these 2. We'll try it and see what happens. So let's go in with that idea, but we'll also go with the idea of what you can use. Now, I can't use healers, and I need 3 DPSs. So one of the DPSs that I'll use in this case, for me, I'm going to go ahead and use the Reaper, just because the Reaper allows me to do good damage, but he also avoids damage from the boss. Now this is good and bad. It's bad for the first stage, because the first stage the boss has to do damage to you to do that. So in that case, that's kind of where the Caroline offsets that. The Caroline takes more damage because it has no way to reduce damage, as it has 0 defenses, so it takes more damage. Now I cannot bring a healer, so Weiwei will have to act as a healer with its skill 2 to buff, and it heals whenever you take damage. It'll heal you back up. That's its form of healing. Now this has a positive and negative side to it. The positive side is that it does heal you for the second stage. The negative side is that you need to be able to heal yourself for the first wave, but if you use this buff, it means you take less damage, which means it takes longer to complete the first wave. And if you out damage the wave, then that means that the boss will start stacking the canister on you once you've completed the damage side. Once you have all 5 canister or little buffs, debuffs on you, then the boss will one-shot a frontline tank, in this case the Weiwei, which would be bad. So this is the problem with this. So if we do with the Weiwei and we buff, then we have a problem. So we need to be able to potentially not buff on the first wave with the Weiwei to allow the boss to do more damage to us, so that we can complete it faster to get through it, so we can get to the second stage where we'll buff with the Weiwei, and then it can heal, and that'll be our way to heal. But we will need a way to heal for the first stage, so we are going to have to look for some type of support that can heal us, as well as providing something for damage or whatnot. Now we can go with the revive option. We can go and try to revive ourselves during that, or we can just go with the DPS option and just go for damage while healing. Some type of option, but it is risky whichever one we go to. Now there are several options you can do for this. Leskar would not be a bad option. He does have a heal with his third skill, his ulti skill. He does have a heal. It is a good heal. And it is a cleanse. You don't really need the cleanse for this boss, but the heal is quite significant. So it can provide potential there. Other options for him, potentially the Gaian could work, as he does have a heal also with his skill 3 ultimate skill, and he does provide defensive buffs as well. Now the defensive buffs can be bad against the boss, because it does do that, but it reduces the damage you take and it heals. He can provide an additional attack buff too, so he is an option to use if you don't want to use Weiwei, though I really wouldn't recommend it. Some of the other support options here, not exactly best. The arty mill wouldn't be bad for this, but it will be doing damage to heal, which means every time that the arty mill attacks or the boss attacks and the arty mill counters attacks, you're going to be healing, which is good, but at the same time not so good too, because you're just going to be doing more damage. So, and you need the boss to do damage to you. So for now, let's go ahead and try it with the arty mill and see what happens, as it is a decent support. So we'll see what happens with him and see what goes along with this one and see where it goes. Because we're going to try to do this one with the 3 DPS options. We don't really need the Chloe, but the Chloe does take a lot of damage. So we could go with a different DPS option here that just does more damage, but it probably won't die as easy, because the boss cannot be paralyzed or CC'd. So bringing the Chloe really isn't needed for this one. So we could go with something instead. We'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and swatch it out with the Arslan. You could bring Chloe because it does have a good nuke and a good damage, but I'm going to bring the Arslan just because the skill 3 does heal him whenever he uses it. So we'll go ahead and bring that in as just a little bit extra. So let's go ahead and see where this one goes and see how we do in this one, and see if we can do this without healers and 3 DPS. This is the first time I'm trying this setup of 3 different options for the daily, so we'll see where it goes. So we're going to start off with, I'm not going to buff with the Weiwei because I don't want to reduce the damage that they do. I don't want to attack buff either, because that just means I'm going to nuke this down a lot faster. Now, if this is your first time you're trying to do this, things to note about this boss: the right canister shows the amount of damage that you do. Once it fills up, then it'll start putting a little icon above each one of the Elune's heads that you have until it gets all 5. Once it gets all 5, then the boss will nuke you down. The left one shows the amount of damage the boss has done to you. The idea is you need to get them both maxed. The closer you can get them maxed out together, the better. Now, it's better if you can get the left one to max first instead of the right one, because then once you get the left one max, you can just go full nuke on the boss on the right one and knock it down, and you're done. So it's good if you can do the left one first, but if nothing else, you want to try to keep them balanced. So for this one, we need the boss to do damage to us. So I don't want to buff attack, because that means I'm going to knock the right one. I'm going to fill it up really quick as I have strong DPSs. I don't want to buff because that'll reduce the damage of the boss. So for now, I'm just going to do the skill 1 on the Weiwei. So as you can see, I did a little bit of damage, so I'm just going to be doing some basic single attack fluff damage. This will allow me to eventually start building up souls. So for right now, I'm just going to be doing it. As you can see, I've already done this. I've cycled through 1 turn on everybody now, and I'm already at a good portion into that skill. So see, I'm already at 105k damage into it, and the boss hits me for barely up to 16k. As you can see, that did nothing compared to the amount of damage that I did. So this is not going to be very good for me. I'm going to be filling up the right one a lot faster than I want to. So for me, I'm going to swap turns to the Weiwei as often as I can, just because it'll do the least amount of damage. So we'll see how often I can swap to it and just try to do as little damage as possible. So I'm going to use the skill 1 on the Caroline just because it has a chance to miss. We'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and buff this one anyway, even though it reduces the damage. It at least means I'm not doing damage to the boss. There, it did its AoE attack. That helped. But as you can see, I've almost filled up the right side now by accident, and the left side is still pretty low. I'm trying to swap turns to the Weiwei as much as I can to do as little damage as I can. The Problem is I'm filling up the right side way too fast compared to the left side. So now, as you can see, the right one is done, which means now it's going to start marking me. If you notice right now, my Caroline has that Anubis looking head above it and the little mark to denote that it has that debuff. So if we look in at the debuff and stuff here, we see that it's the Anubis Sorrow. It's a chance to receive critical hit increases by 50%, which means the chance of it being crit now is 50% higher, which means the boss can do more damage to it. So that's something I have to be careful about. So it just means that it can die quicker. So it's going to start putting that on all the Elunes. Once it has that debuff on all 5 of them, then the boss will attack the tank. Since I have a single tank, it'll do a single hit to the Weiwei. Now what it does is it'll one-shot the Weiwei with soul damage, but it'll also prevent it from being revived. So now it really doesn't matter what damage I do, the damage is not going to go up. I just need the boss to fill up its damage meter now. As you can see, it's capped now at 60k, so I'm not going to be doing any more damage to it. It's just immune to damage basically now until the boss does enough damage to me to get the left one full. See, now I have 2 Elunes with that stack on them. So that's 2 down. I need this boss to fill up the left side before I get, you know, all the way done, before I get all 5 of them stacked. The Artemil isn't healing right now because I'm doing 0 damage, so for this it's kind of risky. I don't want to buff still. I need the healing, but I don't want to buff. I can't heal with the Artemil, so, you know, this is fun. I'm at 3. I really don't see this going very well. I see this as the Weiwei dying in a minute, which is going to make the second portion of this without a healer a lot more difficult. There's no point in saving souls right now because I keep getting too many of them, so I'm just using up whatever I can just to use the souls. See, now it's full, so that's good. I ended up being able to do this when I hit it. Now I'm going to phase 2, didn't lose the Weiwei. So the phase 2 now, this is the one where you need to heal. So the phase 2 is similar. The right one is damage still. That's the amount of damage that you do. The left one is the healing. Now the left one usually for me fills up very quickly, but I'm going to go ahead. I usually bring a healer like Freya with me, so it always fills up almost instantly on turn 1. So for this one, right now I'm just going to be doing damage. I put the Weiwei buff up, but it doesn't help the Caroline. But I'm going to try to do as much damage as I can to the boss. I got to get it down low. So for this stage, I know the healing is going to be pretty decent, so that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and pass the turn so that I can use the Artemil on the next turn to be able to heal the Caroline before the boss takes a turn. So I was kind of watching turn order here, so see now I can buff here, heals Caroline up, so the boss takes a turn now, deal some damage. I heal myself up. Now if you notice, the left one is maxed now on heals already. Even without a healer, it's already maxed. So I need to whittle the boss down now as fast as possible. Now see, that's soul damage, so the boss will always do it. Now see, this stage was pretty easy. It's the first stage usually that's the more of the problem for me, because I do too much damage and don't take enough. Now for this one, it's just nuke the boss as fast as you can. That's basically all you want to do. So for this one, you're just going to want to nuke it. So for me, one Arslan hit and it's dead. But you could have used Chloe Van for this and also done the same thing. So let's go check. I think I hit the 90 turns, but I wasn't paying attention to the turn counter actually. So yeah, I did it within 90 turns. So we were able to clear this one. No healers, clear within 90 turns, and 3 DPS. Now, you could have done this without some of the stuff. Like if you don't have an Artemil, you could still do this. You could just use, instead of the Artemil, I think it would have been fine to use, let's see, what's one of the, where is he? You could have done it with the Leskar instead. He would have been fine to use, or you can use Gaian. Gaian would also be a good one to use. He doesn't heal all the time like the Artemil does, but the Artemil didn't really need that. The if you look, the Gaian has a very spammable type heal anyway. When you do his skill 2, which only takes 2 souls when you do it, it gives buffs to you, which does reduce the damage you take for the first section, so that can be a problem. But you might not have the same issue like I am right now. Most of my Elunes are fairly tanky, so you know it's going to be hard for the boss to do damage to me. But if you're lower, you don't have your Elunes transcended enough, you don't have really good gear on them or something, you're going to be taking more damage. So you're going to want that defensive buff to help you survive so you don't die. So going with him to just keep buffing your team with this, you know, bestow thing, so you can have the extra PDEF MDEF up, that's going to be good. The other thing is he has an AoE heal for this one too, which is 6 now, so that one's nice. Now, whenever he does this, he increases his HP, and the skill gem effect of his skills, whenever you're doing it, you're going to be healing the target by 3%. So whenever you use the bestow rune, that second skill, whenever you're using that on the target, you're going to be healing anyway. So you're going to heal by a little bit every time, as well as buffing yourselves. And he has the chance, as part of his passive, whenever he does this, to do it twice. So we'll go ahead and stop there for this video. That should be it. That's pretty straightforward for this boss. So if you have any problems or comments or anything else you want me to go over with it, let me know, and I'll try to answer that and go over it. Thank you.